Freddy Dodge has returned to the gold rush as a savior to help people fulfill their dreams. Freddy is a cheat code when it comes to gold mining, as he can handle any setback and difficulty with perfect competence. Let's dive into the wonderful realm of gold mining to explore how he handles situations from minor fixes to huge setbacks. Freddy and Juan moved to northwest Colorado near the Wyoming border to rescue a gold miner who is on the verge of going bankrupt. They do not know much about him except his medium-sized plant that he has set up there, and that he has tried almost every trick to catch a good amount of gold but cannot make notable progress. They find a small, clean setup upon reaching their destination. Peter Friedman, the gold miner whom they intend to help in his mining operation, welcomes them pleasantly. Peter tells them the limiting factor behind his problem, which is to find really fine particles of gold. He does not have salaries in his account to pay to his crew. He is actually a graphic designer who has come to gold mining from the background of website development.
Well, actually, my background is website development. I'm also a graphic designer.
He informs them about his progress in the previous season, when he could collect only 20 ounces in 6 months, which is worth almost $30,000 for the crew of 4 people. His account is almost empty, and he needs $1,000 per day to keep things going. He desperately needs the plant to run in the next couple of weeks to keep him from going bust. He takes them along to show his plant. He shows his screen deck and briefs them about its high frequency that vibrates to remove fine particles of gold, which is their main concern over there. He has also added a centrifugal concentrator, which helps to concentrate fine particles according to his research. Freddy explains the science behind the concentrator that contains a spinning bowl inside with fine holes drilled in it. The water pressure injects water from the holes, hoping to keep the gold pinned while blowing the lighter material out. Peter hopes the concentrator will work in his favor. He shows the tailing sluice for the concentrator. He hesitates to tell the total amount he has spent over there in front of the camera. He will be screwed if their plan does not work. They devise a plan to check the first test run for 6 hours. They will fix the problem after observing the total amount of gold in the first run before proceeding further to the second run, hoping to find a notable increase in Peter's final gold haul. They consider it a difficult spot where Peter has spent almost millions and gets nothing in return. They are all set to start their first run. Peter cues Lance to start the generator. Lance thinks of himself as the chief organizer among the crew, without whom everything will be screwed up. Peter ignites the generator, but it does not work unless he knocks his magical fingers at the generator. He directs the master operator, Hank Hebert, who advances his feeder on seeing his cues. The process of sluicing begins as he ignites the generator, making everyone excited out there. Peter is mining on the shoreline of an ancient lake which is believed to be rich in gold. The powdery sand on this lake contains extremely fine particles of gold. It was first mined in the late 1800s when a group of engineers made a canal to bring water to their site, but they had to shut it down when they could not get enough fine particles of gold. Peter is hopeful to get millions in gold with his designed wash plant that the people in the past could not trap. The shaker deck washes the pay dirt through fine mesh screens into a tank below, from where a pump shifts it to the spinning bowl which separates the fine particles of gold. Suddenly, the pump begins to make strange sounds just after 10 minutes into their first run. Peter rushes to turn it off while calling everyone else to shut it down. They are completely helpless until they get the pump back to advance their mining operation, as it has proved to be a huge setback for them. Freddy has called for his finishing table as a replacement for the spinning bowl to catch the fine particles of gold. It has arrived in time, and they hope it will be helpful for their venture. They fix the screens carefully when they find the finishing table being delivered to them from a distance. Peter is still confused as he has used so many tables before that ended up losing a lot of gold. They fix the table in place, and it is time to see its results now. Freddy, on the other hand, is still hopeful to get results, though it is his first time using the finishing table. He presses the lever and pours the bucket of material they have already cleaned up, just to see how much gold they have wasted during panning. It requires water, gravity, and vibration to shake heavy gold particles in the finishing table. They gather around the shaking table to see the process. Soon, they notice the gold to be accumulated, which requires almost 10 hours of panning, according to Lance. Peter looks a bit relieved to see the results coming. Freddy gives a little bottle to Peter to be filled with gold as a payment for everything, regardless of the amount of gold he gets. They lock a deal and move back to their venture. Freddy and Juan have completed their job as they have replaced the old blocked screens with custom-built larger mesh and prefer the finishing table to accumulate gold. It is time to test the final run to see if they have increased the total amount of gold. Peter runs the plant and it begins washing the pay dirt. They observe coarse tailings on the new screens to see if they are catching more of the fine material. They find it a lot better than the previous ones. Suddenly, Freddy notices that they are losing the fine material once again. Peter rushes to switch on the tailings conveyor that he had forgotten earlier. It has been filled with sand consequently. It has clogged the wheel, which results in slowing it down and causing the head wheel to lose traction. Freddy and Juan rush to the conveyor and begin to throw some sand on it to generate friction to remove the blockage. The conveyor belt begins to move after a short while and continues the sluicing operation. They get faster results with the help of the bigger screens. Freddy is quite satisfied with his fixes. He hopes to get enough gold when they finish the last test of the 6-hour run. Finally, they gather around the cleaning table to see their final results. They expect to get double the amount of gold as compared to their last cleanup when Peter got 0.27 ounces worth $500, which is half of his target amount. The gold weighs 0.84 ounces, making a total of 1.44 ounces worth $3,000. They howl in extreme joy. They have made a 400% increase in their gold finds. Freddy and Juan's fixes could make them almost $300,000 over 6 months. Freddy Dodge has come to rescue Derek's mining operation, who really needs his help to get better results. He has to repay his loan and mining costs, and above all, he needs to buy his family their home by the end of fall this year. Freddy explores the bedrock to see a good amount of gold which Derek is wasting in his partiality to the coarse gold. He shows the gravels that move with water, sinking the gold that settles back to the center of the earth. He takes some gravels in a pan to wash it up to see if there is any gold in it. He finds 10 different colors in the pan after washing it. He hopes to find a pretty good amount of fine gold using their equipment. Freddy drives to Derek and Juan, who are all set to weigh their mining outcomes of a 4-hour test run. To meet his ultimate target of 500 ounces, Derek needs the test run to deliver at least 2 ounces. They put the fine gold on the scale that weighs 1.40 ounces. They look a bit perplexed, but they are still hopeful to get a good amount of gold from the cut. Freddy and Juan go aside to discuss their plan to get their desired results. The main issue has come in the material as Derek is passing bigger rocks through the sluice box, and they really need to do something to avoid losing fine gold. Freddy suggests building an additional length of sluice and putting a punch plate upon it to make an undercurrent box. To make it clear, he draws its print explaining it to be a punch plate with riffles underneath, pretending to be a carpet with all the material dumped in it. The riffles in Derek's sluice box create a vortex that forces the gold into the mats, but the large rocks disrupt by washing out the gold over the end of the sluice. Freddy suggests adding another sluice box with punch plates on it to separate rocks from small materials. It will settle the fine gold in the riffles underneath. Juan likes the idea, and they return to Derek to discuss their plan with him. They tell him about the additional sluice box and all about their plan. Derek agrees to whatever they recommend to cover a huge amount of gold in a short period. In the meantime, they are not sure about their plan to work for them. Instead, they are going based on possibilities. Derek is all set to implement their plan as he has already tried so many other ways and is determined to try this one too. Derek needs at least 30 ounces in his first test run to hit his target of 500 ounces. He is so excited to see the results of their new experiment. They wash the material they have gathered in the sluice and find a fine layer of powdered gold. They are extremely happy to find their idea working in their favor. They continue sluicing that way, and finally, they reach to meet Derek and his family holding gold for 4 hours. The gold weighs 0.17 ounces, which is 5.5 grams. Their plan has added $750 per 10 hours to their sluicing, which can deliver an amount of $75,000 extra in their whole season. They weigh the rest of the gold, which turns out to be 2.34 ounces, increasing their gold finds by 70%. They are extremely happy to find Teo and a half extra ounces a day worth almost $4,000. By the end of the season, Derek should reach $1 million to fulfill all his lifelong dreams. Freddy Dodge brings a rock plow tied with a chain to Roger, who is working on the conveyor. It has cost him only a couple $100. They fix it upon the conveyor belt. Roger likes it as it proves to be a cheaper fix. Conveyors are always cheaper than anything else to move things, but at the same time, they need to be cleaned and maintained as they carry wet material all the time. Freddy needs to repair the conveyor belt, or else it will cost them heavily in the form of tragic setbacks in the sluicing operation. It carries costly material upon it, so they need to hook it up, or else it will tear up sooner or later. Freddy suggests putting a band-aid on it and drills it to fix it strongly. After that, he trims the bulged iron so that it cannot do any damage to anyone by hooking up with them. Juan cues the truck to move backward, as they are about to move the feeder with the help of the excavator, as it carries the generator, so they need to be careful. He takes the responsibility of moving the feeder, as he has been the most experienced operator. Freddy directs him to move side by side. He finds the ground a bit hard. Freddy guides him to move to the opposite side. Juan is in a difficult situation, as he has got electric control panel and the hydraulic pack on the back, and he will lose the control panel if he slips. Freddy guides to advance and drawbacks as per the situation. Finally, they succeeded in transferring the 100-ton heavy feeder to the conveyor. They are a bit relieved to accomplish that risky task without doing any damage. They decide to test it the next day. The next day, they are all set to sluice the pay dirt. Freddy and Juan cheer the crew before getting to the action. They ignite the plant, and the Addams family is only 4 hours away from knowing the progress of Freddy and Juan to make their mining dream fulfilled. They have made all the essential things possible, like the conveyor, the feeder, the rock plow, and the wiper up front. In the first run, they have to slow down the sluicing operation because of the uneven sluice, which causes the wastage of so much material. Freddy orders Roger to increase the speed after examining the plant to cover more yards. Matt finds the gold mining so satisfying that he feels like digging bills out of the ground with bare hands. Freddy and Juan are extremely happy to see their progress so far. The rock plow is working wonderfully, and it keeps its pulley from choking. Juan appreciates Freddy's idea of the wiper and the broom assembling, which costs him only $10. They ensure the plant runs for a full 4 hours without disruption, and they are almost at the end of their second run feeding the plant with the last bucket. They examine the sluice box once they finish the sluicing, and it appears 5 times more than the previous run. Juan prefers to predict about it after washing it up. After 5 hours, the Addams family gathers to weigh their gold finds in the second run. They need 1.25 ounces in that run to hit the weekly target of 15 ounces a week. The gold turns out to be 1.93 ounces, which is 4 times more than the first test. They would get $40,000 a week and reach $1 million at the end of the season. The Addams family seems to be pretty excited about their progress in the gold mining venture. Freddy Dodge and Juan Ibarra have teamed up to rescue the struggling gold miners to reach their goals. They have more ventures to help miners to come out of the crisis while mining. To enjoy more exciting ventures like this one, subscribe to our channel. There are so many television shows out there with massive appeal and popularity. However, there is one that has proven to be the most unique that rises above all others: Gold Rush. It is a show all about the drama, money, and challenges that come with chasing gold and racing against time to make your profit. One of the greatest stars to come out of this harsh environment is Parker Schnabel. But what really happened to Parker Schnabel? Did something negative happen to him? Let's find out. Parker Schnabel is a superstar gold miner on Discovery's reality television series Gold Rush.
Like, I would say that this one definitely costs a lot more to run. They find more gold. It's bigger. It's more comfortable.
But there are a lot of questions in the air about him, his career, and his personal life. To get some of the most common questions out of the way, like what is Gold Rush and Parker's connection to it? Gold Rush is a show that follows different mining families and their gold mining operations in Alaska. Parker Schnabel's family has a long history of gold mining, and he is the latest to start his own operation and take his place as the head of his own crew. Becoming the leader when it comes to gathering the most gold out of all the other crews on the show, he has only grown in experience and ambition. Because of his great success, he has become a fan favorite and has starred in every season of Gold Rush. This popularity even got him his own spin-off show, Gold Rush: Parker's Trail. In his various cameos and spin-off shows, we follow Parker Schnabel across the world, looking for the best gold mining locations, meeting new people, and seeing new places.
I really want to thank you all. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart And I hope that every one of you guys wants to come back.
These new opportunities take up a lot of Parker's time, but give fans extra screen time to enjoy his personality. Seeing him in these foreign environments excites fans, but it only makes them more curious about the parts of his life that remain unaired and unknown. Despite being a fan favorite, he appears to be content with his fame, rarely updating his social media pages with anything too personal, and seemingly uninterested in giving long interviews that touch on his intimate relationships and family life. Parker is a rare type of celebrity who prefers to stay under the radar. New Gold Rush seasons premiere only once a year, and for a brief moment, we can see all of these people in their professional element. We also see their relationships, friendships, and troubles with each other. Parker is an ambitious, kind, and funny person who generally gets along well with people. However, there was some drama on the set of Gold Rush involving Parker and Tony Beets. He believed that the other mining head of the Beets crew was trying to sabotage his work and success just a few seasons ago.
So, as a sign of good faith on my end, I'm just going to bring you some royalties in advance, if that works for you.
This plotline has been an underlying tension in some of the later seasons of Gold Rush as Parker has grown in experience and popularity, causing the king of the Klondike, Tony Beets, to take notice. Of course, this kind of rivalry is typical in a cutthroat industry like gold mining and can create some fantastic television. However, despite the drama on the set of the show, some observant fans and watchers can gather that Parker is doing very well and handles new obstacles and challenges with calm and determination. This reflects a good mindset and a stable home life. Even during the pandemic, when the entire global economy was put in peril, Schnabel and the Gold Rush crew managed to make it to the Yukon and back to their mining and filming schedules. This was also in large part thanks to the government deciding that gold miners qualified as essential workers. An attitude that rejects quitting and marches on no matter the obstacle. This conclusion by fans was put into doubt when they started to notice that Parker was getting less screen time on the show.
Well, Chris, I think it's looking a lot better.
We won't know until the next cleanup, but I think we'll have a happy Parker now.
This concerned people, and they wondered if the producers meant to phase him out completely. But he put those fears to rest when he conducted an old-fashioned question-and-answer style interview online. He explains that the reason he is not on screen as much as he has been in past seasons is because of the added responsibility he has taken on over the years. According to Schnabel, as soon as business starts getting big enough, you're dealing with so much paperwork and permitting and employee stuff and accountants and taxes, and the list goes on and on. I don't enjoy the day-to-day of that, but I enjoy the process and I enjoy the outcomes. A victim of his own booming success, but he doesn't complain about it much. In fact, he even takes time in this Q&A to praise his crew for lightening his stressful workload. He says having varied skills among miners is immensely important, and when a gold mining operation is on the smaller side, members often need to wear many different hats and engage in different jobs. The good thing about his own workload expansion is that it has caused his employees' workload to shrink a bit. This is because Parker's company has grown, and now they are able to hire more hands to help them out and take different chores off the other miners' shoulders.
Over where we're working, we're going to have some really unstable banks. Don't do anything sketchy when it comes to working around the water. Just always stay way back from the edge.
The end of his Q&A session was a sweet and appreciative post to his fans and his team who made all of his success possible. He feels that his team are capable people who can pick up the slack when he is absent as he works to grow the company. So they are never in fear of losing out on opportunity and work. This post did a good job of thanking fans for their concern, while also letting them know that he has had to make sacrifices for the greater good of the company and to reiterate his love and appreciation for his crew. Real fans know that Parker's ambition would never allow for stagnation, and that he always has his priorities in the right order to succeed. He proved this when he answered a fan's question about the toughest challenges he faces on a mine site. Parker explained that the biggest problem that he and his contemporaries face is an industry problem in the gold mining sector. He describes that every industry has what people would coin as the total addressable market, meaning that if a person were to sell newspapers, they would only be allowed to sell to so many people. But this is different in mining. In placer mining in the Yukon, there are only so many ounces of gold in the ground, and they are all fighting over the same ounces of gold. This is a terrifying problem to face, as every new mining crew that joins the industry only makes everyone else's goals that much harder to reach. The gold is a finite resource, and the lands they have traditionally mined are beginning to run dry. Parker's solution to this problem is to find new virgin land that has yet to be excavated, perhaps something he has learned from his spin-off show. However, this is not as easy as it sounds, as gold mining is a hard and expensive business that requires heavy investment for rewards that may not even pay out. He ends this line of thought with a haunting quote, "So that's the big struggle? The goal of every mining company is to put itself out of business." However, even with all of this drama and stress in the business, there are still hints of romance that slip through the cracks of Parker's fiercely private life. With all of his good fortune, intelligence, and skill, it shouldn't come as a surprise that he has already bought himself a home estimated to be around $950,000, and rumors say that he has even found someone to share it with.
72-23. So cheers to all you guys. Thank you.
One whispered love interest is Ashley Yule, who he met in Australia after he invited her to spend the summer in Alaska with him and mine some gold while they were at it. But things between them didn't seem to work out, with Ashley leaving after season 8. Another Australian love interest he had was Tyler Mahoney, who was on a spin-off show, Aussie Gold Hunters, when they met. Unfortunately, they never met in person and seemed to only have a professional relationship. A love interest that really got people talking was Sheena Cowell, who is a Gold Rush co-star and rumored to be single and ready to mingle. Parker Schnabel has been in the gold mining industry since he was a child and became the star of a television show as soon as he left school. Famous from a young age, he has worked hard to maintain his privacy and enjoy his life with some level of anonymity out in the world.
But yeah, if you could get it done while I'm gone.
Okay, man. Well, we'll get after it, and hopefully we can keep everything else running while we're doing that.
Thank you, and good luck.
However, fans and media have been able to gather enough information to draw some good conclusions as to what he's been up to and why. Any worried fans out there should put their worries for him behind them. With an estimated $10 million net worth, Parker Schnabel is going to be all right. We hope you had some of your questions answered. Parker makes $364,000 in gold after getting rookie operator to move Slucifer. Parker, who had a lot of knowledge, kept showing off his accomplishments all these years. Not long ago, he did something even more amazing. He made $364,000 in gold by getting a new operator to move the Slucifer. The project already owed a huge $15 million, and Parker didn't know how to get out of this mess. There were daily costs and pressing repairs that needed to be done. There was some hope in the idea of getting a $160 million payday in the Dominion, but there were many unknowns along the way. It became clear when he admitted that the whole thing was making him feel pretty worried. He felt a little uneasy for the first time in a few years. He wasn't alone, though, which was good. His team would be there for him no matter what. To save the working bodies, Tyson had to take on everything. He got permission to use the mine from Ken Tatlow and Stuart Schmidt, and then began the impossible job of making the experience great again. No one expected the first cut to be so bad, and it took a lot longer than anyone thought it would. As soon as Parker realized how important it was, the pressure rose. He thought Tyson would be able to get up soon. The determination of Parker stayed strong, even though the work to prepare the new spot was hard. He went on to say that while he was getting El Dardo ready, he thought he had a lot of time. But when he was getting the next plant pad ready, he realized he didn't. As Parker dealt with the problems at El Dorado, everyone was left wondering if his unwavering determination would help him get through the tough times and find the gold stores that could make his mining project a success. Parker and Tyson were both involved in the El Dorado. Moving the wash plant at the El Dorado cut was a huge task that turned some important events in Tyson's life. They had everything they needed except time, because the process had to be done by a certain date. The due date for this job was Sunday, and if it was completed successfully, it would be able to stay alive. The plot jumbled up money problems, practical issues, and the almost constant search for the jackpot at Dominion into a mess of problems that needed to be carefully handled. The financial situation added another level of difficulty to the story. The operation, which was already a financial puzzle, was done with the worry of possible bills and the costs of running the business. As I watch them, I can't help but wonder, will this smart move help them find the gold mines they were looking for? Or will it be a big mistake on the crazy road of gold mining? At some point in this nail-biting story, you couldn't help but wonder, would Parker Schnabel's huge risk pay off? Or would his growing financial responsibilities and practical problems make it impossible for him to reach his goal of finding a gold mine? Dominion is a world where gold rules and fortunes can change in an instant. Parker Schnabel found himself in a very bad spot. Now is the time for the dream of the unreachable gold to change. Along with it came hard times financially, so the business could stay open. The heat had almost made this area its home. It makes me wonder what it's like to be ruled over. The answer is as easy as the question, but it beautifully describes the harsh conditions these miners have to work in every day. The word Domian means sovereign, and the people who were looking for treasure buried in its land often tell it what its rules are. Another look at the area points to the harshness that is hidden by the light. Parker and his team's determination should definitely be praised. Recently, the weather has gone up, which has raised the bar for what is acceptable. This seemingly normal talk showed how hard these people's lives were. They had to work from dawn until dusk in the hot sun. The next step was to sluice there, but that wasn't official yet. As the thought of starting the sluicing process set in, there was a sense of excitement in the air. After some time, they said that sluicing wouldn't happen because they needed to get better at it first before moving the business. The team was eager to start sluicing, but first, they had to make some strategic choices. There was a lot of tension in the gold mining business because Tico, who was making efforts to make things run more smoothly, set a hard goal. As the order echoed through the mining site, the story unfolded quickly. Tico wanted the plant to begin buzzing before morning. The attention then turned to Tyson, whose scary job it was to move sluicefer around on a pole that wasn't stable. Tyson had to make up sluicefer out of a leaning stick he had lying around. The language used made it clear that the business was sloppy and rushed, even if no one knew how to make learning staff. Putting pressure on Tyson became an important part of the story, a major source of tension that gave the story more depth. To move the sluicefer, you had to have a steady hand and a lot of skill that you learned over time. Tyson had to deal with a lack of experienced hands while working on a tough job. Alec and Liam helped out the last time, and it looked like they were going to drag Lucifer while Evan Kurtz, who was just an operator and didn't know how to move a wash plant, moved Lucifer. The moving of the wash plant was complicated by the fact that parts had to be slung up to the sluicefer and then pulled down to the new pad by the 750. The main reason it was hard to do was because changing wash plants was hard to do when there were already few hands available. As Tyson and Evan took on the job of moving the pieces of sluicefer to its new location, the story took an interesting turn. It wasn't just a jump that was being planned, it was a symbolic risk in the dangerous world of gold mining. Once sluicefer was taken apart piece by piece, sharing could be seen as both a risky move and a game of chance. People who watched this story grow as a dynamic journey had to think about what would happen with the operation and the luck that was going on at the same time. Everything that was done in the world of gold mining had the power to change the whole course of the season, even sluicefer's seemingly random jump. The 45-ton wash plant, sluicefer, that held the promise of $364,000 in gold hung over their heads. Tyson and his team had to carefully move sluicefer so that the process would go as planned. To get to its new wash plant pad, sluicefer had to go up a steep ramp, which was hard to do because of the environment. Tyson used the 750 excavator, which was the best one on site at the time, to help carry the heavy Lucifer up the hill because he knew it was a period piece. As the story goes on, there is an amazing scene of bravery as they try to get around their opponent. But behind it all is the dangerous operation. The shot was tense because of the way the land was angled and how rude the Washington plant was. The wash plant started to slowly but surely rise because Tyson knew how to use everything he had at the time in a strategic way. From the first few steps toward the wash plant, you could feel the stress in the story, and Tyson's main point made the already difficult task even harder. He said that his bucket would be used as a small wrench. He talked about how you need to be able to adapt and be creative when you run into problems you didn't expect. At this point, everyone is almost in pain from the fight and can feel the strain of the hard mental and physical work that needs to be done to get the sluicefer where it needs to be. Tyson's smart use of the bucket as a makeshift crowbar showed how important it was to be able to think quickly and change to survive in the unpredictable world of gold mining. So the operation as a whole relied on the team, and how well they did in this last stage was crucial to achieving the overall goal of a successful season in the Dominion. If this last step is completed successfully, not only will the difficult task be over, but Parker Schnabel will also have the chance to reach his big season goal. The team's ability to deal with the difficulty of this important configuration determined whether the whole operation succeeded or failed. As soon as the work was done, the wash plant set firmly on the pad. giving everyone a sense of readiness and accomplishment. The construction of the conveyor and the hopper feeder was a big deal in and of itself. It was a clear sign that gold processing was about to start. After following this high-stakes operation through all of its changes and surprises, I couldn't help but feel satisfied. There was a promise of gold worth $364,000 off in the distance. The problems were solved, and now everyone was waiting for the next part of Parker Schnabel's story. This move could change everything for Parker. It could get him a big payday and help him beat the challenges of gold digging in Dominion. After finding $364,000 in gold, he was making smart decisions, like letting a new operator move the Slucifer, which was the most important job. Using Slucifer and Gold Rush has had a big effect on the show and the people who watch it. Slucifer's demonstration of cutting-edge technology shows how the gold mining business has changed over time. The time was running out, and every second counted as they looked for the hard-to-find gold that would decide whether the mission succeeded or failed. Parker said he liked how the move was organized. After the rig move, the story went on to look at the day after. Everyone was so eager to hear the result that they stood on edge to listen. They knew that today's machine was the only one that could tell them how productive the whole season had been. The news of the golden sample led to both hope and disappointment. We called that sluicing. Parker was looking for a 5,000-ounce endonym to keep his business from going through a lot of trouble. He needed 300 ounces of water a week to get it. For the team, this was the last payment thanks to Parker's Vice, a 5,000-ounce season worth $364,000. After that, the count by the number of ounces showed that there was, in fact, a pileup that was different from the group's weekly goal, but still impressive.
All right, 20, 40, 60,